Hal here with more 7 Days to Die. And today we're going to go over something that is pretty vital for any survivalist in this game, and that's going to be the cooking and forge system. Both of the systems have had a minor update to them, and if you've been watching any of the gameplay videos or if you've actually been playing, you've probably seen some of this by now, but what I want to do is to give everyone a chance to get a better understanding of how things work, because I know a couple of people have had some complaints where they've been saying they've run into problems when they were using it because they didn't understand the new system and what was going on. So what we're going to do first, because it has had the least changes, we're actually going to look at the campfire and cooking system first. So what you have now is you have your crafting UI, and instead of being filtered by what you can and cannot make, you can actually see everything that you're able to craft no matter what it requires to make. Some people like this, some people don't. I kind of like it because it allows you to plan for what you need, and when you're out and about, you can say, if I'm looking to make, boiled eggs, I need to go look for eggs. If I want to make biofuel, I know I need animal fat. Those types of things, and it helps you plan a little bit better on your outings, because with the changes and the way that the game has become so much more difficult, you really don't have a lot of that flexibility that you used to have. When you leave your base, you need to make sure you have an agenda and goal in place. If you don't, you are probably going to get sidetracked, and you are probably going to end up getting killed. So just make sure you're aware of what's going on and how everything's playing out. So the biggest change is actually in the way that tools are used in the campfire. Previously there was only one cooking utensil or tool slot. Now you have 3 permanent slots, so you don't have to swap your gear out anymore. Once you have a cooking pot, you throw that into the fire. If you get a grill, you throw that in, and then if you find a beaker, you can throw that in as well. And you can see what you need to use tool-wise when you select an item. So let's look at the antibiotics. This tells you here that there's a beaker required and that you have it present. If you don't have the beaker, you'll see that check becomes a red X, and that tells you that that's what you're missing. Now, it would be nice if they did it down here in some way other than saying you need and have. Basically have a system in place that says, if you don't have this, it's grayed out or something. Basically like they do here. That way you know what you're missing and what you need to go looking for. Outside of that, the only real change is that they've gotten rid of the various meat types. So now there is just grilled meat, so there's no longer venison, rabbit, bear. It's all one type of meat now. And that means that you've also lost the different types of stews. So you no longer have bear stew or venison stew. There's just meat stew. And what they've done with this is that the stats that you get are kind of in the middle of what you used to get from venison and bear. So the food is, I think, 30 or it's like 40 food, I believe. A little bit of hydration, and then 1.6 wellness per stew consumed. So, it is pretty much in the middle of what you used to get from venison and bear. The other new addition to the game is the herbal antibiotics. We now finally have a use for blueberries and mushrooms other than just eating the mushrooms for, food and water. Both the blueberries and mushrooms are useful as a survival food, so if you can find them, great. But you definitely want to keep an eye out for the blueberries, specifically for the herbal antibiotics. Now, the one thing about herbal antibiotics, as you can see here, there's a small book that tells you need to find the schematic or recipe to make this thing. Once you've learned it, you're fine. You don't need to go looking for it ever again. I'm not quite sure what the drop rate is on this. I have been told that it's uncommon to potentially rare, but again, your luck's going to vary with the RNG gods. You never know what you're going to find. So this definitely means you are going to want to go looking for like the Born and Noble. The bookstores or even the pharmacy may have it, I believe, but I think your best bet is going to be in the Born and Noble. Gas is also manufactured here in the campfire just like it was before, and that is still a schematic. Nothing has changed there. The other new item that you want to be aware of is the red tea. Red tea is made from chrysanthemum and bottled water. Basically, it is the replacement for goldenrod tea. And I say that because the chrysanthemum are just as plentiful as goldenrod, which has itself been reduced in its spawn rate. So goldenrod is now, I think, about 25% spawn of what it used to be. So if you can get the chrysanthemum, pick it up. If you have a choice, if you have to choose between goldenrod and chrysanthemum, take the chrysanthemum. The stats that you get from the red tea and the effects that you get from the red tea are equal to goldenrod in all regards except one. Red tea has a cooling, I believe it's called cooling liquid status effect, which reduces your core temperature. So if you start overheating, you can use this to cool down as long as you have any thirst available within your meter. So you can't be completely hydrated. You have to lose a little bit of your hydration. As you can see, I am standing here with, my avatar is not armored or clothed right now. It's nighttime, so we're starting to cool down a bit. So yeah, those are basically the two things you really want to be aware of with the red tea. Make sure if you can find the chrysanthemum, this is what you're probably going to be making instead of goldenrod. That's my personal recommendation. Again, mileage may vary. You're going to do what you want to do, whatever works for you. If you have the choice of it, I would definitely say take the red tea. If you're just trying to do whatever you can to survive, grab both if you can, or whatever's available. Okay? So basically all you have to do at this point, once you've decided what you want to make, is you turn on your fire. If you have your ingredients, you select the item that you want to create. Oh, sorry, that's been a long day. So yeah, you select what you want to create. This context menu is a dynamic context. So based on what you have in your inventory, things will move up or down the list. By default, when you are looking at all, it's alphanumeric. All right. So yeah, when you select what you want, select how many you want to craft, you tell it to cook, and you'll get your status down here, just like your crafting queue in other games. So moving on to the Forge. Now the Forge and Forge crafting has had the biggest change to the system. When you come in, the Forge, just like the Campfire, has 3 tools that you have to worry about in order to make everything available. The anvil is required for a lot of advanced, the second tier things, specifically when you start talking about like buckshot or bullet tips. So if you want to make ammo, you're going to need actually 2 tools. We'll get to that in a minute though. So the big thing to know about the Forge is there is now an input bin, and this is replacing what you used to do for smelting ingots. There used to be the molds for the ingot molds for the different types of metal, and what that would do is allow you to craft the ingots, which you then turned into other things. Well, each forge now has its own basically input hopper. So as you start smelting things down, and I'll show you here, like the scrap iron, each scrap iron turns into 5 units of iron, and depending on what you want to make will depend on what you have available. So if you want to put brass in, if you have your scrap brass, you throw that in here. Lead, the same with lead ore and scrap lead. Glass you can do with windows, the glass panes. Each glass pane gives you 100 glass. Something to keep in mind because, yeah, there it is, the glass jar. Each glass jar is going to require 12 glass. So each pane is going to give you just under 10, what is that? It's going to give you a 7-ish, 7, right? 6, 7, something like that. Sorry, my math is horrible tonight. You're going to get like, 5 to 6 bottles out, or jars out of each glass pane. So you're going to need to collect a lot of glass. You can still put sand in here, and the sand will render down to glass. I'm not quite sure what the conversion ratio is right now, but all of those things are still viable. So, but just to make sure you understand, the resource requirements for everything in the game have increased generally by a factor of 2 to 10, depending on what it was you were looking at. So, yeah, it is a lot more grindy than it used to be, but it's a more logical grind than what it used to be. So, as you can see with the anvil, or with the jars, even this, you need to make an anvil. So that being said, you can actually craft the anvil. The anvil is the only tool that you use in the forge that's craftable. Both the calipers and the tool and die set are loot only currently. I don't know if they're going to change that anytime in the future. It is always possible. But Mad Mole and crew have been basically putting more things behind various types of gates, either the books or schematics, which have random loot on them, or now you have the tools as well. So if you want to make cement, for example, you don't need any tools, but you do need the recipe. If you want to make bullet tips, you need the recipe and you need an anvil as well as the forge. If you want bullet casings, this is where we start getting into issues here. You need the calipers. Calipers, as I said, cannot be crafted. They are find only. That personally bothers me in the new system because I don't like the crafting system to be constrained by a random number generator like that. Because of all of the other challenges in the game, my personal opinion is that if they were going to require a tool, it should have been the anvil. I understand why logically they want to use calipers because that is a more accurate tool. However, in the game where you can't craft a required tool in order to make something to survive in a survival game, yeah, I have issue with that. But, you know, the game is what it is. The crafting system is growing on me. I do actually like the system the way it is. Like I said, my only real complaint is that 2 of the tools are basically random number. Now, for the tool and die, I don't really care about that because what that is for, the only thing I have found that uses the tool and die so far is the rocket launcher. And actually, I'll show you here. So your tool and die set is required for your rocket tip as well as the rocket casing. The thing is that I thought was funny and I thought would require the die and tool would be the mini bike chassis. That only requires the anvil. Now, I'm not sure about the handlebars. Let's see, do we have them on here? No, it doesn't look like it. Let's see. Nope. Okay, so handlebars are inventory crafts, so they don't require any tools. So the things that you would think would require the advanced tools don't. So I am not really sure why it works this way, but you know, Mad Mole and Company, they're going to do what they want to do, right? So, but yeah, so that's the basic crafting system in a nutshell as it exists right now. One of the reasons why you do want to be aware of what's going on in the crafting system is because anything you make has a durability and quality level. Let me see if I have... Let's see. Like I said, this is in a creative mode, so I'm not gonna, you know, I've been spawning things in, but I can show you basically what we're talking about here. So you have a durability, right, and then you have this, which is both your durability and quality level. So as you repair items, in fact, I should have enough forged iron to do it at this point. So let's make some forged iron really quick. What do we need? Oh, we need clay. Alright, so let's get the glass out of there. Let's put the clay in. And we should only need one tick over of the clay to make this. And what we're going to do is we're going to make one forged iron as soon as the clay kicks over. Should be kicking over here in a moment. And I'm going to show you what happens, because as you repair things, your quality level drops. This is a good thing usually, because what it means is that you're going to run into situations where you have to choose on whether or not you're going to repair your items. This also means, from my understanding, this also means that the higher level your skills are in the various skill sets, the less problem you have in doing the upgrade. So when you do a repair right now, like I have almost no skill obviously in this. So what we're going to do is we're going to repair this. And as you can see, it went from purple to blue. What this means is if you find something early on that's really, really good, you're probably going to want to throw it in storage and make do with a lower grade item unless it's dire need. So these are things to definitely keep in mind. because everything in the crafting system now takes a lot more time, it takes a lot more resource, and there are repercussions for doing stupid crap. So so keep that in mind when you're choosing your difficulties in zombie spawn levels, because the harder you make the game, the harder the game is actually going to be now. It is no longer a need to choose, the highest difficulty with highest spawn rate in order to have a challenge. The game has become very, very challenging at all levels. Even at endgame, because of the fact that you cannot just stockpile a large number of high-quality items, it's going to be a lot more of a challenge long-term. With the fact that the zombies now take more damage and deal more damage, you're going to go through your tools and weapons a lot faster. So just keep that in mind when you're out there. And so if you found this useful, I hope you would hit the like button. Let me know that you enjoyed it, or that you found it useful. If you haven't done so already, you might want to subscribe. Like I said, this is going to be probably the last of the actual sit-down standalone tutorials. Starting next week, I am going to be doing my solo gameplay as well as the multiplayer with Granny Shirley, or for those who know her, Shirley Curry, Silverblade Dagger, as well as a new YouTuber, Sharky. He's actually one of the longtime contributors to the channel itself, and one of the longer subscribers on my own channel. So if you have any questions or comments, throw them down in the section below. We will actually have some information about a giveaway in tonight's live stream, so if you can make it, feel free to stop in. The details will be there. I'll actually put up an announcement video as well, and that'll be the official kickoff of the giveaway. And what we're going to be doing is we will be giving away a copy of 7 Days to Die, and that'll be distributed out before the holiday, just as a thank you to the community and a way to say, happy holidays to everybody. Give you a chance to actually get into the game that you've been watching. So on that note, I'm out of here. I hope you all have a fantastic weekend. For the folks who make it to the live stream tonight, I will see you tonight. And for everybody else, have a phenomenal weekend. And yeah, as always, I'm out of here. So take care and be safe, everybody.